From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? I know we started a little late today, but you know what time it is. It's the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I know we didn't get a show in yesterday, but you know we only had 2 games in the NBA yesterday, and it was kind of one of those days where things were kind of moving a little bit in a, pretty much I had to go ahead and handle some other business and things like that. So we kind of took the day off and things like that. So I'm back today, and I want to make sure that I did the show today so we can go ahead and talk about, what went down this weekend, the playoffs and all that good stuff. But let's go ahead and jump into my first topic in hand, and that's going to be about what's going to be going down in Las Vegas soon. As you guys can see, the Raiders have moved on from Mike Mayock. And does Bisaccia need to be seriously considered for the head coaching job? Now, I would say this about Rich Bisaccia. I would say Rich Bisaccia had a very cool hand. And if anybody deserved to possibly get a consideration and the job, it's him. But I think, though, at the end of the day, it was a full team of coaches that ensured that the Raiders were able to stay positive, stay focused on the task at hand, and pretty much they were able to do that with a great, team of coaches. But I think with Bisaccia being able to lead all types of different units because of his special teams expertise, it does make a little bit of sense to go ahead and just keep him as the coach because he's possibly the most successful coach with the Raiders record-wise, for the short period of time since Jack Del Rio, who went to the playoffs as well, too. And when you look at the record, you know that when he took over the team, they were 3-2. They won 2 games immediately, which were both 10-point blowouts as well, too. So that was something that they weren't getting under Gruden. Gruden was winning a lot of games by the skin of their teeth and, being able to just outlast teams and things like that. But Bisaccia had a real kind of killer instinct in a sense. I think that he did a little bit more bolder moves, but he let a lot of the other coaches be able to do exactly what they wanted to do. I think that John Gruden was being such a dictator of what the situation was going to be. And that's why the Raiders would have situations where they looked really good. And then they had situations where they looked really bad. And I feel like the same thing is kind of carbon copy happening with the Rams right now with McVay. You have a coach that wants to be the star of the team, and that's what happened with the Raiders. Now with Bisaccia, you have a guy who doesn't talk, who's not a big talker, things of that nature, and he's not trying to be the star of the team. He's trying to make sure that the team is their absolute best when they win. But I think that if you do hire him, it's simply because those last 4 games of the season and the attitude that he put into the Raiders to go ahead and finish the job and get into the playoffs. Yes, they lost by 7 points. They could have won the game. There were some questionable calls in that game. But at the end of the day, they were not supposed to be there. The Raiders weren't even supposed to have a winning record when John Gruden left, from what a lot of the skeptics said. So I think that Bisaccia, if he doesn't get hired as the head coach, you cannot let this coach leave your franchise. You cannot let him leave your team of coaches. You need this guy to be one of your leaders on this sideline. If you don't keep him as the head coach, but keep him on in some type of facet or form, the team will love it and respect it. But I think, though, a lot of guys have their mind made up, and Rich is their guy. So if Rich is their guy, Raider Nation, he's going to be your guy. So we'll see what Mark Davis decides. Does he want to jump into the lottery pool of coaches, or does he want to just go ahead and stand pat and just keep his coaching staff intact the way that it is. I think that honestly, keeping the coaching staff intact is the best option for this Raiders team moving forward. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our next topic in hand, and that's going to be what's going to go on Saturday. Can the Bengals continue their big run with an upset of the Titans? Now, the Bengals have became the pretty much the cup of tea, the flavor of the month, whatever you want to call it in the NFL, and they have shown improve over the last 3 out of 4 weeks that yes, they have arrived. But I think that a lot of this has to do with the fact that they played such a tough schedule during the season because of their division, in a sense, you know what I mean? And then they also had to line it up with the AFC West as well too. And in that regard, they went ahead and went 2-2 against that group. So, you know, this team is hardened. They've played against some of the best teams in the NFL. There's still a lot of flaws on the Bengals as well too. We all know that that was kind of a game that the Raiders gave away. It wasn't a game that the Bengals truly went out there and dominated and won. There was a lot of breaks that went their way. And you know what? They came with a great turnover at the end of the game to seal the deal. But regardless, though, Joe Burrow is playing very consistent football. He might not have thrown for 300 yards last game, but he was very consistent when it came to completing passes. So that's something that works in their favor going into this game. Tennessee's one of the worst one seeds that you could ever throw in there. I think that they're good as a team that's probably second, third, or fourth, but them having this moment and this advantage puts them in a bad spot. And I felt like this the whole year. If you were going to be the team that would be the one seed in the AFC West, you're going to have the most issues when it comes down to it once you play your game, because the AFC is tough. It is really tough. When you have almost 10 teams win 7 or better games, this is a tough conference right here. Okay. And then you have teams that are at the bottom that are giving teams at the top issues as well, too. So, you know, this is just a tough conference in general. And I think that the Bengals are a very live dog in this spot, but they're going to have to do a lot to win this game, specifically shutting down the run game, because Derrick Henry should be ready to roll. He had another week off as well, so he should be in beast mode for this game. And if he goes off, I hate to say it, it's a Reba Dirche for the Cincinnati Bengals. But if they can keep that run game intact and make Ryan Tannehill beat them, hey, anything can happen when it comes down to it in Nashville. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. Should be a great playoff game between two very bright and upcoming quarterbacks as well too. Even though Tannehill's been in the league for a little while, still he's a guy who has some pretty good pedigree and everything like that, and he gets paid a lot of money, so he's supposed to show up. So this should be a very good matchup between the two blonde quarterbacks. All right, so we move on, and let's go ahead and get into the home team, and that's going to be the LA Rams. The Rams face off in the Rams are face a tough game in Tampa versus Brady and the Crew. Now, going into this game, the Rams got all the advantages in the world. I saw somebody say the other day that, man, this line is, what's wrong with this line? They're doing this dirty. It was a Tampa Bay fan. And I said that the numbers call for this to be a 1.5. It just does not matter. It's a -2, whatever. And really, it's a pick'em game, okay? Because this is the one opponent that, when you look at the teams that the Bucks have played in the playoffs, absolutely dominated the Bucks. Yeah, they got beat 9-0 by the Saints, but that was more of a keep the ball, more of a keep away game, and we know exactly what you bring in. And they had a lot of people down that night. Mike Evans wound up leaving that game that night as well too. So you go into this one, and the Rams were really hot when they played the Bucks. I know it was very early in the season, but they started off like a house on fire. They were very consistent on offense, and they were very consistent on defense. So they had the super look in the beginning of the year. So when they played Tampa Bay, they were fully prepared for that. Now, you say, okay, but Tampa Bay, you know, they should bounce back from it. But then you look at last year, they lost to the Rams last year as well, too. So the Rams are 2-0 with Brady as the Bucks quarterback. And I'm telling you, this game is going to be one of those games where The Rams have to get out early and often. This is going to be a track meet. I'm going to be honest with you guys. There's going to be some good defense that goes on in this game, but there's going to be scoring that goes on in this game as well, too. So we have to be prepared for that. So I think the over is going to be a great play in this spot. But I really, truly think that this game is going to come down to the final 2 minutes, and whoever has the ball last will be the winner of the game. But if there's a blowout type situation where a team wins by 10 or more points, I favor that part to the Rams. And I know that's biting off a big piece right there, but I know at the end of the day that they have the quarterback that has a little bit more to prove, and they got the defense that can sit up here and really, really frustrate Tom Brady and possibly put him out the game if the situation arises. You know what I mean? Because the Rams are ruthless, dude. Seriously. They just don't be getting clean. They just haven't been able to get a real clean hit on them. But Brady better watch out in this game because the Rams are coming for blood. I'm telling you. And they know what time it is going into this one. So Rams, Bucks, this should be a good one. And all-time playoff record with the Rams and the Bucks. The Rams are 3-0, and that includes 2 NFC championship games as well, too. So there it is. There it is. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. Should be another really good game between the Bucks and the Rams. All right, so let's go ahead and we move on to a quick commercial break. And when we get back, we'll go ahead and we'll jump into the state of the Lakers and the NBA Wednesday night. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live, and let's go ahead and jump into the state of the Lakers real quick. I know that I didn't have it on the show features and everything, but it's game day, so I'm going to talk about the Lakers. So the Lakers do have themselves a good game tonight against the Pacers. They are coming off of a very good win against the Utah Jazz, but I did have a feeling the Lakers were going to step it up after a 37-point drubbing by the Denver Nuggets and a call-out by legend Magic Johnson. So you knew the Lakers were going to step it up because now the veterans are saying some things, and, you just want to go ahead and prove people wrong, right? So they go ahead and they get themselves a nice little 6-point win, and you had to enjoy the Lakers' resiliency there. The Lakers went up 11 late in the half and then gave up about 5-6 points there at the end of the half. Then they wound up getting outscored 16 points in the second half to start the second half. The Lakers wound up going on a 21-4 run to really go ahead and seal the deal in that game the other night, and that was huge in the fourth quarter. The Lakers hadn't played defense that good in the fourth quarter all season long, and I think that was absolutely a growing moment for the Lakers. That's why I said that. And as soon as the Lakers won, they wanted to say that, Vogel's on the hot seat because they leaked out an email from the office that Kurt Rambis said that I'm watching you and blah, 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 blah. I don't believe that for anything. I think that there's a lot of things that are just getting thrown into the fire And I think that a lot of people are picking up on it, and they're just running with this because they have their own ideas about the Lakers and what the Lakers should be doing roster-wise. As I keep chomping at the bit, Kendrick Nunn will be around in about a week, okay? AD will be back in about 2 weeks. When we see what Kendrick Nunn can do, then if he's doing well and it's impactful for the team, then we know that pretty much we were just waiting on this guy to join the roster. So pretty much, you guys, I say this. They're not playing bad basketball. They're 4-3 this month. They started off the month 3-0. Then they lost 3 in a row, but they lost 3 in a row to good teams, a rival and 2 teams that are very, very good in the NBA. And then they come back around and they beat the 4th best team in the NBA, and they dominated them at points of that day as well too. There's nothing to worry about. This team just has to get a consistent moment of a full roster. It's that simple, okay? And I think that everybody wants to trade Russell Westbrook has to understand that his contract is very heavy. The Lakers really don't have anybody who wants to be a partner for Russell Westbrook. But you don't need to trade Russell Westbrook, because what Russell Westbrook has now found his comfort zone, and he's actually playing much better basketball than he was a month ago. LeBron James has went back to being a big scorer, something that he hasn't been in the last 5 or 6 years. But that's because he's picking up the points for Melo. So, that's pretty big in itself as well, too. He's doing a great job as a leader. And the biggest reason why the Lakers were able to win the other night, Dwight Howard stepped it up in this center position and was tough and made life very difficult for Gobert. So, as I keep saying, if you can get Dwight Howard to show up and be a Dennis Rodman, Robert Parrish, all these great big men or rebounders that just really are going to cause a nuisance for you. And I think that's exactly what Dwight Howard has to think about when he comes into the game. There's a lot of goofing off, but that's his personality. We understand that. But when he plays his what his A game was, the Lakers are a really tough team to beat. So just know that it's very important that he's doing the small things and doing the big man things for the Lakers to really compete in these games. And I know it's crazy because I'm not the biggest fan of Dwight Howard, but I do see when he plays very good basketball, the Lakers play very good basketball. So that has to be consistent. It can't be every 5 games. So that's my point in general right now. And I think that everybody just has to just go game by game. You can't worry about who's going to get traded. You can't worry about who's going to get fired. You just have to go ahead and go with the flow and hope for the best. You know what I mean? You're dealing with what you have right now. It's that simple, okay? So let's go ahead and move on, talk about the NBA. And we have the NBA Wednesday night. We have ourselves a good one tonight with the Nets and the Wizards. You got Kyrie, who was getting real mouthy the other night in Cleveland. I don't know why that guy doesn't understand that people in Cleveland are like really crazy. You know what I mean? So, you might want to watch what you're talking about to them. So, but I kind of understand his side as well, too. I got y'all a championship, and, this is like the most losingest city in all of pro sports. So, you got one championship in 60 years. So, pretty much, and it was credit to a shot that was done in Oakland by Kyrie. Yeah, I can kind of get with that, but he does need to humble himself because he doesn't get that championship if LeBron James doesn't return to Cleveland. So, there's a lot of things that go into that. So pretty much you got a Brooklyn team coming in here, slight doggy dog tonight, plus 100. Then you have Washington minus 120. Washington's red hot going into this game, winners of their last 4 out of 5. Then you have the Nets, who have dropped their last 3 out of 5. So, these two teams, I'm not saying they're going in different directions, but they're just kind of the Nets are kind of going through flow. They have Durant down for the next month. And so they're going to be going through it. So they'll probably have a 500 record by the time Durant returns. But at this point right now, they are going through the motions. So pretty much tonight, I like the way that the scoreboard is looking. I think what we do here is we figure out a way to jump on a team that's going to be huge tonight. And I think that the Nets are going to get themselves a good win here. So I like the Nets a lot in this spot. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our next game. And our next game is going to be between the Hornets and the Celtics. The Celtics are the host tonight, and we know that these two have went at it a few times this year. I think that this is their final game of the season as well, too. You know that the Hornets have had their way at home, and Boston has had their way at home. So, now they meet up and they try to go ahead and figure out who's going to win this series for this season. I think that, you have two very, very fun teams with very exciting young players on it as well, too. And anything can happen here. The last time when they did play Boston, they lost 140 to 129. This was at home. So they've actually only played them once. I got a little confused. I thought they played a few times since then because I thought that they played in Boston. But no, this is their first trip to Boston. So when I look at this game tonight, I'm going to go ahead and say to you guys, when I look at this looks like an over game because Boston tends to give up a lot of points at home. And I think with the fact that you got a Charlotte team that's top 5 in scoring this season, they'll be right there in the midst of things to go ahead and get themselves a lot of points on the board tonight. So we'll see how this one shapes up. We'll see how it shakes out. And there it is. And then we have the Grizzlies once again, and we're undefeated this season when they're my dog of the day. And we're going to go ahead and do it again. And I'm telling you right now, we're going to go ahead and take the plus 215 money line dog of the day on the Grizzlies. And then we have the under 231.5 Rockets and Jazz today. The Rockets and Jazz, I know I kind of skipped for it, but I think that Rockets and Jazz, this one will wind up being a pretty good game as well, too. But actually, let me go ahead and, wow. I didn't even go to Grizzlies in which go. But, yeah, Grizzlies Bucks, I like it a lot. I think what happens here is that you have a Grizzlies team that's playing really good basketball. They've lost one game this month. And I think that they'll continue their run. This is a day where they're saying that, hey, they might not be that good, blah, 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 blah. But still, I like what I see with the Grizzlies, and I think that they are on to something tonight, and I think that we will be in a good spot here with them. So Grizzlies are the road team tonight, but I'm not worried about that one bit. I trust this team. I know that the Bucks are pretty good, but I know that the Grizzlies are the hottest team in the NBA, and you just can't look past that. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, and we move forward from there. All right, so up next we have the Jazz and the Rockets. The Jazz and the Rockets, this is a pretty good old rivalry and everything like that. The old Midwest rivalry games as well, too. I mean the Mountain Division of the NBA, the Western Conference. So, if everybody remembers that division, it had Houston and Utah and the Mavericks, the Nuggets, all these teams that were the other conference in the Western Conference, but they were always seemed to be the better division out the two because the Lakers were so dominant of the Pacific Division for so long that, it happens. Sometimes they were able to switch off who the champ of this division was going to be. So pretty much, yeah. So we have the Rockets and Jazz tonight. I think what happens here, the Rockets are kind of going through the motions a little bit, but this is a game where you can overbet the favorite, and I think that's what's going to happen. The Rockets have dropped their last 3 out of 5, but the Jazz have dropped their last 4 out of 5, and they've really dropped, and they've been bad this month too. So you just can't go in here all willy-nilly and trust them today. I'm going to be dead honest with you. They got 3 wins on the month, and they have 6 losses. So this team is struggling. They still have a good record, though, so they're not worried yet. They're still 29-15, so we'll see how this one goes tonight. But we are taking the under 231. And then we finish up with the nightcap tonight. That's going to be the Pistons and the Kings. The Pistons and the Kings. This should be another good game. Pistons coming off of a game last night where they didn't even scratch 90 points. They really had a tough time against the Warriors last night. The Warriors only allowed 38 points in the first half, dropped 66, and then kind of just coasted their way to a victory last night. That's all they needed to do. They scored 17 points in the in the third quarter. Like as if it, and I'm saying this because I know this because I had them last night on the team total of over 116. So we couldn't get it last night. Detroit, I wouldn't say they played great defense last night. I'll just say that the Warriors weren't shooting the ball well last night. So it is what it is at the end of the day. So pretty much with this one right here, I do like the Pistons coming into this game because they played against a much better team last night. And it seems like when they play against a much better team the night before, they played really well the next day. And the Pistons are actually turning the corner now, too. They're not a really inconsistent bad team. They're really a consistent team that will keep you playing throughout the night. And I think that last night they was a little off. And when they have an off night on a back-to-back, they usually roll into the next night, and they're pretty damn good. So I like the plus 6.5 on the Pistons. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. And that's going to be our NBA, a Wednesday night. All right. So we move forward, and let's go ahead and jump into Talkin Tickets. And Talkin Tickets, you already know what time it is when it comes down to Talkin Tickets. Talkin Tickets, we have ourselves the CBB PrimeTime PK6. We have ourselves the 48-1 ticket here tonight. We got plus 6.5 on Hampton. Then we have Loyola, Maryland with the plus 110 money line tonight. Then we have Longwood as the minus 140 money line tonight. And then we rock with Old Valpo with the plus 4.5. And then we have Creighton with the minus 3.5. And then we have Iowa with the minus 3. So there it is. This is a 48-1 ticket. Single what you like. Talkin Tickets. All right, so let's go ahead and see what we got in the NBA for you tonight. And I already said it to you as we were going, but let me go ahead and refresh you. Nets money line minus 105. I like where we're going in to that spot. We got the Hornets and the Celtics, two high-scoring teams, over 219.5. We should be able to hit that. Then we got the Grizzlies, our undefeated dog of the day team that we've rolled about 4 times this season, and it's been pretty much every single time plus 160 or better going into each game. So last time we had them, I think we were plus 260 or something of that nature. Tonight we're plus 215. So Grizzlies, go ahead and keep the good times rolling and get yourself a nice little win tonight against the defending champion Bucks. And then we have the Rockets Jazz under 231.5 tonight. We got a lot of real good going against real bad. So you know how these games usually go. So that's why I like the under tonight with the 231.5. And then we finish up with the plus 7.5 on the Pistons to go ahead and cover tonight or possibly win the game against the Kings. So there it is. NBA Super High Five, 41-1. And that's how it is. And it's like that. And that's the way it is. So, yeah, so there it is, Talkin Tickets. I want to thank you guys very much for tuning in today. I know that I started a little late. We were supposed to start at noon, but I thank you for tuning in anyway. So you guys are the absolute best. I'll be back tomorrow with Mike Abadir. We'll be talking some more Raiders and things like that, talking some more playoffs, getting into how that San Francisco Green Bay game is shaping up, and also to talk about probably the biggest game of the weekend, the Chiefs and the Bills. So I look forward to it. I thank you guys very much once again for tuning in today. We got a lot of big things on the way. I should be having a nice exclusive boxing interview for Sweet Science for you guys this week as well, too. So you guys be on the lookout for that. So, yeah, thank you guys once again. And, yeah, I'm your host, Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and this is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live. As I always say, if you got a hunch, bet a bunch. Always bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production,